Hey everyone, welcome to a special bonus episode of Locked On Lakers for a Saturday. Brian Kamenetsky, Andy Kamenetsky, heartbreaker for the Lakers in Atlanta as late game execution really does the Lakers in. We'll talk about it next.
You are Locked On Lakers, your daily Los Angeles Lakers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks to everyone for making Locked On Lakers first listen of every day, Monday through Friday, no matter how or where you get your podcast. This one's always free, never behind a paywall. Locked On Lakers on YouTube is where you can go hang out with over 26,000 subscribers to the channel, Andy, all of whom are probably reminding me that Brian, sometimes this podcast happens on Saturdays. I mean, like, weekends too, depending on when the Lakers play. Oh my God, Andy, this was in some ways a refreshing change from the recent play of the Lakers. They go into Atlanta and perform much better, but the result 134 to 132. They lose in overtime to the Hawks in a game that was undone not by bad performances from their stars or things like that, but just a pile of failures and moments where they didn't execute and shot themselves in the foot and couldn't seem to do basic things. This is as frustrating, I think, as any loss they've had all season, including the ones where they lost by, say, 41 points.
I had actually anticipated before the game started to fall apart in overtime, I would say even with like a minute or two left in regulation, talking about how the Lakers didn't necessarily play great in this game because particularly defensively, like a lot of their execution was not great. They left way too many shooters open. But I had been prepared to talk about, though, how this was a game that felt like the Lakers moving in the right direction because A, the offense was clicking a lot better, and B, they were just playing with more spirit and more energy and just more even purpose, misguided, but still a sense of purpose of we are going out there with the this feels like a low bar to clear, but lately the bar's been low. Like the right goals, the right purpose, all of that stuff.
Yeah, and I think to me they that was related to the fact the offense got back on track. Like I feel like an underrated part of these last couple games is the fact the Lakers together in both of those games scored 173 points. That's not good. And any sport that you play, I don't care what level you're at, when you do not score, it sucks the air out of the balloon. And so the Lakers came out and, Rui Hachimura, who played a nice game, got off to a really good start, I think, which helped them. And, it was pretty clear from the beginning that, LeBron who played, first of all.
This was as energetic from start to finish as LeBron has been on both sides of the ball in a while. Like, he was unfortunately part of some of the late execution problems that the team had, which in one way or another involved just about everybody. But LeBron's energy in this game was fantastic. Like his, we had talked a lot about for Friday's regular show, like and I know I harped on it a lot, like the need for him to pick up that energy.
You were ready for the Lakers to just trade him and get rid of him. You owe that man an apology.
No, I don't owe the man an apology. He did what I asked, and it was much better.
I said he shouldn't play. So,
no,
all things considered.
No. If anything, he owes me an apology because he did the things I was talking about. It was a much better result.
He must have listened to the show.
But I mean, I just want to make sure that that's like what we saw from LeBron in that sense was that's the type of thing that inspires your teammates to pick up those cues and play like that as well. So he deserves a lot of props for it.
And, LeBron and AD together, is starting to get to that play. We talking about some of the performances here and the offensive performances. And AD, I think missed his first couple shots, but then, kind of got going a little bit. And, he obviously finished with a great line, 38 points on 15 to 27 from the floor. 10 rebounds, 8 assists, he had a steal, he had a couple blocks. LeBron, 39 points, 14 to 25 from the floor, 10 rebounds, 10 assists, 3 blocks, including a chase down block that was that was one of those moments where I was like, oh man, they really, could win, could, maybe should, will win this game. LeBron with one of his classic chase downs, but contextually, it actually summarized why the Lakers ended up losing this game by 2 to me, Andy. So, you're in this situation in the overtime, and it was a very lazy pass from Anthony Davis, dropping it off to LeBron next to Dyson Daniels,
yes,
who is so good, leads the league in steals to the point that they've named him now the Great Barrier Thief, which is one of the best NBA nicknames that has come out in a very long time. So kudos to whoever came up with that one. And so, LeBron hustles and breaks up the play. And they actually, Redick had it reviewed because LeBron saw that the ball actually kind of went off of Daniels and it wasn't just swatted out of bounds. And what do they do?
Which is amazing, by the way. To be able to see that in real time is unbelievable.
Because he said it right away. It wasn't like somebody whispered in his ear. He started lobbying.
When they were first challenging, I was like, "What the hell are they?
What are they challenging?" And then you could see LeBron.
That's like some next level stuff from LeBron.
He's really good at the guy's seen a couple things. So it was a bad play, followed by kind of like a hero play. And what is the end result of that? The Lakers win the challenge. They inbound the ball, and Anthony Davis gets tied up because they can't run the inbound play correctly, as Redick talked about it after the game. Like that didn't happen the way they wanted it to. So Redick, so AD gets tied up, jump ball. Lakers lose. They win the tap and lose the ball. It's tipped out of bounds. Atlanta gets the ball back. After all of that stuff, all of that work, the Lakers don't execute in 2 or 3 different instances and cost themselves possessions and eventually give up points. The final play of the game, for at least the game-winning shot, I should say, for Atlanta, you had a situation where Anthony Davis and Gabe Vincent could not keep track of who was switching and who wasn't, and who was supposed to go where and who wasn't, because they kept seemed almost like double teaming the same player, like back and forth, ping ponging, and then eventually it leaves Trae Young wide open for the game winning shot.
I'm pretty sure, and I think JJ alluded to it as well after the game, that was Gabe's mistake. And by the way, this was easily the best game Gabe Vincent has played as a Laker. Like he was up to that point.
Started in place, it should be noted, he started in place of D'Lo, who had been starting in place of a still injured Austin Reeves. Vincent finished with 12 points, 5 assists, 2 steals, a block, 5 of 11 from the floor, 2 of 4 from 3-point range.
Yeah, I tweeted during the game at Cam Brothers and put out on Blue Sky, like the Lakers are never going to get as good a game from Gabe Vincent again. Like they can't waste it. This would have been like, this is the equivalent of the Lakers blowing Kobe's 81-point game. Like you're never going to get anything better from Gabe Vincent.
Just either, regardless of whatever those guys needed to communicate far more clearly than they obviously didn't do. And, but there were moments that happened a couple times down the stretch where they got their coverages mixed up, where they, made a lazy pass, where they, this is the Lakers and they're going to get their coverages mixed up a lot. But, there's a famous line from John McKay, of course, the legendary USC football coach who eventually coached the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for a long time. He was asked about his team's execution after a Buccaneers game, and he said, "I'm in favor of it." And I got the distinct impression that was JJ Redick after the game. There were so many of these. I mean, the jump ball thing, the little mistakes that they made near the end of the fourth quarter and into the overtime that cost them this game must have driven him insane. He was almost speechless after the game, Andy, it seemed.
Well, I've told you before, this is JJ Redick's tell, like in terms of how he's feeling, because JJ loves to let everybody know that he has all the answers. Like he is not shy about intimating that he's the smartest person in the room.
I mean, look, he is a podcast host, and we know how we are.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. We're insufferable, but
this is why we have to do the podcast from separate rooms.
But like when things are not going well, JJ often has a difficult time coming up with words. And look, I imagine from somebody like Redick, who is a very good communicator, it must be very frustrating to feel like my communication is not resonating on a regular enough basis. And I've said before, like, I don't think Redick thought this job would be easy because he's not stupid. He's been in the NBA a long time. He knows how hard it is to win. I do think he is sometimes surprised by when things don't take that he's communicating. I think that at times,
the amount of times, I mean, yeah, I think that's true.
And look, it's ultimately up to him to figure out the ways to make it register. Like, that's part of the gig.
It's, there's a lot we'll get into
beyond whatever needs to be adjusted with, schemes and whatever. Like, that's the gig, man. You got to communicate what you want and make it stick.
And I think it's the making it stick part that is the problem. And like, it's the Lakers play on Sunday and at home against Portland in what is evolving into a must win game. Or you don't want to be back at 500. Losing a home game to one of the few genuine lottery teams in the West.
Thankfully, it's must lose for the Blazers, so this could work out pretty well.
You'd be surprised. Don't put it past them. But I just think over this stretch where they're going to have 2 games in 10 days, a lot of this is going to be the Hawks are in a lot of ways a great example of some of the things that kind of plagued the Lakers, because Trae Young, while he hit a couple huge shots late, and he did have 20 assists, it should be noted, was also 9 of 25. He's had a weird season.
Well, we've talked about this before. Like, I think both of us think he is kind of an overrated scorer, and he's definitely an overrated shooter. Like, he is thought, I mean, this game winner notwithstanding, he's thought of as like Steph Curry when it comes to 3-point shooting, and he's not.
No. Right.
And
he's 35% career 3-point shooter.
Right. And he's often been a very inefficient scorer. He is an extremely, I think, underrated facilitator and point guard. He's
averaging
really
12
good.
assists a game. 12 assists a game this year, which is really impressive. Yeah. But so the Lakers and Redick, this is another thing that frustrated Redick. Like, part of the reason they started Vincent and they changed their coverages is they didn't want to be, they did all these things to try to limit Young as a passer and a scorer. Well, they got part of it right. He was an inefficient scorer. But you look around and Jalen Johnson, who I think is the best player on that team, he finished with a pretty mild 12 points, 10 rebounds, 7 assists. Part of why he's so good is he's a stat stuffer, but he turned the ball over 6 times. You got 11 points from Daniels. Richardson had 11 points, so he didn't light him up. So you go to the bench. They have DeAndre Hunter, 26 points. They have Bojan Bogdanovic, 20 points. Okongwu had 15 points. And look, I understand that the Lakers got 17 points between D'Angelo Russell and Max Christie. It's about all you're going to get when your other guys who play are Cam Reddish and Armel Traore. Like, you're not going to get a lot of offense from that. They're short a lot of players. But it is an illustration of the challenge that the Lakers face, because the Hawks may not have the 2 best players on the floor in Anthony Davis and LeBron James, but they have arguably the next 6. They have meaningful depth the Lakers simply don't have. The guys at the end of their 8 or 9 man rotation are significantly better than what the Lakers are putting out. And how they negotiate this until either players start coming back or they change the lineups, change the players on the roster, is going to be a big topic. So we'll get more into more of this stuff for following the game on Sunday and into Monday. But before we go, Andy,
The Locked On Lakers is brought to you by Robinhood. With Robinhood Gold, you don't need a silver spoon to eat up the financial favors of the 1%. Robinhood Gold allows others to get the rates and perks usually reserved for the high society. Now, the resourceful individual with Robinhood Gold can earn the very liberal rate of 4.25% APY on uninvested cash and be rewarded with a handsome 3% retirement boost on IRA account contributions. Robinhood Gold provides the privileges of a high net worth for any net worth. These generous benefits are now available for only $5 a month. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. Sign up at Robinhood.com/gold. Terms will apply. For product-specific disclosures, visit Robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risks. Rates may change. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold, LLC.
Locked On Lakers also brought to you by FanDuel. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook gives you everything you need to place bets, live bets on the NFL all at once. So when you get that little ear tickle, it says, oh, I know what's coming next. Like, somebody's scoring a couple touchdowns in the second half, whatever it might be. You can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, so much more on the same page where you place your bets. So visit FanDuel.com to join today. And again, you get started with $150 in bonus bets when you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. See everyone Monday.